Picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's Monday. It's week 2 on the Concept Shuttle, what I'm calling a reconception, since I have done the smaller version of this before, but not nearly with as many bells and whistles. At least one bell and half a whistle that I'm putting in this. Now, I'd like to start the day with some great news, and here's some great news. I was thinking about the front windows. I printed out the parts of the front windows, even though this is not clear material. So my first go-to is to check like a 2-liter soda bottle to see whether or not there are any contours that are baked into that bottle that will work. And this is the top of the bottle. You might recognize that. And what do you know? It's got that compound curve in it. And when I laid a piece of that on the front of the hull, marvelous things happened. Marvelous things happened. This is the perfect contour. I was able, just by cutting a piece of it and laying it on there, it's got the downward curve. It's got the round side curve. That is fantastic. I just need to do some trimming of it, but I think that I can do some very carefully, well, get it in camera, some very carefully controlled trimming on this and put it in place with some canopy glue or microcrystal clear. I think it's going to do tremendously. It's see-through, it's optically clear, it's not going to give me distortions that sometimes you can get even if you vacuum something. So that is the best news I've had in a few days on this. Now, I did spend some time over the weekend huddled over my printer and huddled over my computer and emailing back and forth or messaging back and forth with Mr. Fink about battery access. And what we decided was the best way to do that is, where's my little, here it is, my little standy thing. We came up with this back hatch here. And what that back hatch is going to allow a person to do, now it's in here a little bit tight still, is to put magnets on the back of that and remove this whole piece, and then the magnet would, or the battery would slide in and out of this place here, and that will allow us to get control over everything and then pop that back in place. So another spate of good news there. So I think we're in a good place to start or to pick up construction today. Here is, go ahead and take these rubber bands off so you can see what I'm looking at as far as the interior here. The area for the battery is right there, and what's going to happen is this lid's going to come off, but this battery is going to slide in this track right here, and of course the top of the as long as it doesn't hit the get something small, get something shorter here, as long as it doesn't hit the top edge of that door, it'll slide in and out. So I've created that pocket there. All I need to do at this point is to add some magnets to the to this piece and add some little metal bits there for that to stick to. And I need to trim these guys down, but there would also be bits of metal there for the magnet to stick to. I think what I noticed was that when I put these in place, that this one on the left came down a little bit too far, so I just need to trim that one a bit. So we're good to go on that. I have started lining up the nacelles. Go ahead and cut that off just a wee bit, make it even with the other one, and knock the corner off of it. And same thing here, knock the corner off of, well, helps. There you go. See, I'm taking this, I just need to cut that down like that, knock that corner off. There. Okay, so now this looks a whole lot better when it fits. Looks a bit gap tooth here, but it fits there, and we can add our controls to that. So wonderful. Also worked on the light that goes inside of here. Now I made this little fixture. I couldn't use the part that was printed for it, because obviously that part is meant to be printed in clear. But so I made this frame that this will sit into. It'll sit just like this. Oh, I'm sorry, I got it backwards. It'll sit just like that into that frame. I have to cut a little channel here for the wires to go out of the back. But let me see, do I have my... I cleaned up this morning in order to take care of another little job, which means I threw everything in this box, and now I gotta figure out where my battery is. Hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I found a battery. But what I need to do is, you can see what happens when I light that up, is that it'll look like that from the inside. Need to light block that frame. But other than that, I think we're in good shape to give a nice even lighting of the cabin below. So that I need to paint. Go ahead and start painting the final colors on this. At some point, I need to start. I've got all these parts. I need to start putting them actually together in such a way that they look finished. I also on this week. Well, I don't know if I'm going to finish this week or next week, but on this week I need to get on with the console here. I need to cut a clear piece here, and probably I'm going to have to cut a clear piece to go behind all of those. Maybe a clear piece as a backer, and then put the big drops of the resin inside to give me the gauge look. So we're going to have some fun with that, and then we can put all of that up in the front end here after we get the floor in. Once the floor is in, it'll give me my spot for the console. That console wants to overhang the chair, or overhang the lip of the front edge just a tiny bit. It just wants to sit on that edge, which means I need to pull that floor down a little. It's going to sit like that, just on the edge, and that's going to tell me how the console's going to fit. Yeah, we might have to put some filler in between the floor and the doorway there just to level that off. And we're also working, thanks to Jeffrey this week, on the new hatch door. We've got a problem with it in that it looked awfully rampy and not nearly smooth enough. So I wanted to make such a thing that... Oh, where are they? I just got them out of the printer. Oh, they're in the other room still. I just got them out of the printer. But something with a built-in step there. So that's going to handle those. So yeah, let's I think I'm to the point where I need to stop doing the overall stuff and start concentrating on getting some things finished to the very end, rather than, you know, touching every little bit and not quite finishing anything. Okay, so I'm continuing to press my luck here. I'm not sure how long it'll go, but I'm going to ride this train as long as I can take it. I'm making the clear part that goes inside the central stock of the control console where the astrogator goes, and this is a lovely decal that Jeffrey has come up with to go there. And I realized that it has a little bit, if you look at it from the side, it's got a little bit of an inward curve to it. And I found a bit of the soda bottle that I could also match that curve to. So what I've done is I've sanded down, and I'm playing at it with with an emery board here, and adjusting and sanding and adjusting and sanding and fitting and sanding. But I'm gonna sink it in the center there with a little bit of the microcrystal clear. and let that, I can put that to the side to dry and start working on the gauges on either side of the top T part this here. I'm just going to put a clear piece in behind there. I've got plenty of flat stock that I could use for that. Alrighty, so I'm starting to get to the point where I gotta get serious about the lighting. So I pulled out one of my couple remaining Ralph boards that are navs and strobes. It's a beautiful board, but it's all it does is navs and strobes. It gives you as many as you want to put on there, but the navs will blink at this constant rate, and it's got a strobe on here that will flash at 4 different rates depending on what setting you use. I've chosen this one. I think it's a nice setting. And if I can get everything away from each other, you can see what's going on. There's the green and reds, and there'll be one strobe. And all of this is going to go in the top part. The navs are going to go back here. The strobe is going to go right up front. I don't think I need to get any more complicated than that. It's since this is going to be a landed kit, it's sitting on the ground. There's really no sense to putting any lights on the belly. That would just end up getting lost anyway. I had thought about putting lights out here at the tip of the nacelles, but then I realized they would be awfully close to the these lights anyway. So it's a lot less fuss to run them here than it is to try to snake them all the way down through that pylon and then back up. So I think having all the lights here is good. Plus the fact I can kind of wire them here and glue them down, do all of that, even put the board up here, and everything will be very well controlled that way. I've got in other news, I've got the magnets on this panel here so that it kind of sits where it wants to sit. You can see the magnets there, and that will also attach that way to hold them in place. That way to hold them in place. I've got some metal bits there and magnets on the back of that. So I want to minimize the amount of wear and tear that I'm doing on this piece before I start getting ready to paint it, obviously, but I need to embed those lights, and I think all the handling it's going to take to get the windshields to fit or to get them in. I think I want to do that before I put the lights in, because that wiring might end up being a little bit more delicate. So I think I've got all my parts laid out. I just need to incorporate them. I need to also sand the opening of this door just to clean that up a little bit on both sides before I get too anxious with doing the delicate stuff. But I wanted to get, first of all, I had to dig up the instructions because I thought maybe I didn't have them anymore. But no, I saved the instructions, definitely. Okay, I've just spent way longer than I thought I was going to, but you get into a groove and you just keep going. Now look at that. Look at that. All it takes now is a little bit of microcrystal clear to glue that in place, and that's probably the best window I've ever seen. I don't think I've seen windows that good on commercial kits. That is gorgeous. So we're going to do the side ones, and hopefully those will come out as well. But I was actually able to inset them a little bit, which is the important thing. I didn't want to put them on the inside plane. I didn't want to put them on the outside plane. I wanted to inset them just a wee bit. I don't even know if you can see the detail. I'm considering now that I probably need to go ahead and paint the inside color, the cockpit green that I want to use, or not the cockpit green, but the lighter green, the institutional green. I think it's a sky green for the inside, so that I can go ahead and get these microcrystal clear set in there and let them set up, let them be drying, because I frankly don't think it gets much better than that. And then from when I go to paint the outside, I can put masking tape over top of that. Oh, we're at the end of the day on Monday, and it's so good, so restful, so satisfying to finally see some color going down on things. And I know we've got a lot done today. We sussed out the lighting for the strobes and navs. We got the windows done. I spent a lot of time on those windows, but I think it's going to be time well spent by the time they're done. So I wanted to finish the day off with a bit of color, just to get some color on the thing. And I've got my cockpit green, which is going to be on the inside of this cage. And I think once we get the see what this looks like with the light in it, we'll shine it up like this. Now see, that's going to add a nice amount of ambient light back there. And once we get 9 volts on that, it's going to be even brighter. Let's see, by the time we put that onto here, that's going to look nice. I'm going to paint the framework a contrasting color. Not exactly sure what that color is going to be yet, whether it's going to be a gray or maybe the terracotta color that is also on the inside of the classic Galileo shuttle. I might do the framework in that so that you have those two colors kind of honored there. And I got black on the seats. Yay, that's going to be fun. Once we get those in there, that'll really pop. I did a lot of good work on the consoles today. Let's get that out of there. First, this is the green on the inside of the cockpit. We've got I gotta remember to keep, they're clear and not easy to find, so I gotta make sure I don't lose them. But we've got the windows ready to glue in. And I don't know whether I want to do that tonight or not. We certainly could. I think I need to let the gray that I just painted on the inside dry before I try that, though. So let's get this piece out of the way. Here's the front windshield, and the last piece is, let's see, let's make sure I don't have duplicates here. Yeah, that's the duplicate of that one. So these are the 3 that I want. So there's that. And let's see, where are we on the console? We've got this clear piece put in. I need to hand paint the front of that with a gray probably. And here it is. I'm going to go ahead and fill these in with resin and hit the UV light on them before we finish off for the day. But yeah, we got a lot done. A lot settled, and the things we didn't get done, I have a clearer mind as to what I'm going to be doing. So yay, good progress today. Alrighty, I worked a little later into this evening than I normally do for a very good reason, and that is, let me clean some of this up. That is, I wanted to go ahead and glue the windshields in and let them be drying overnight. I had sprayed the inside of the cockpit the green color that I wanted to use. I will mask this when it comes to spraying the white over this, but I wanted to, basically what I did is I tacked the corners in with the UV glue. I didn't want to risk using the CA on there. It might not have crazed it up since it's not styrene, but it's just so messy I didn't want to use it. So I used the UV and I tacked it in some strategic spots, and then once it was tacked in, I went around the whole edge with the microcrystal clear. I diluted it down a little bit to make it easier to flow, and I just painted in a nice line around that whole thing. And I did all 3 windows, and we're going to let that set up overnight, and by the time I come back to it tomorrow, they should be good and secure, and I can clean up any little glue blobs with the microcrystal clear. I can sand some of those off, or even cut them out and peel them off with a very sharp X-Acto. But that is the that is the last bit of work for today. Well, good morning everybody. It's Tuesday. Here we can see the lights installed. I finally started getting some wiring done today, and I've got some more color on things, and I think we're going to be doing a showcase of colorful things, because the next thing to do is to put the lights in this. But we're getting ready to start piecing the big chunks together, and a big part of that was getting this upper shell ready to go. I've got the circuit board hot glued in. I want to tidy up all of these wires, push them down to where I only have the 2 wires that are coming down to the battery box sticking out. Then I can work on attaching the innards. I do need to get the black tulip out, because I want to light block the inside of these tiny bulbs so that they don't show through that back window. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff, but it's coming together. This is where it's all going to start rolling downhill and picking up speed. Now I've got the windows in from yesterday have dried. They might need a little bit of cleanup, but they're in great shape. Of course, the paint touch-up will take care of a lot of that. Got the strobe in with a little bubble of the UV glue to act as a lens. Same thing as these guys back here. And we're really going to be working on a lot of lighting today, because I want to get the bulbs into the nacelle fronts as well. Even if I don't get those glued on, I want to get the nacelle fronts, get the orange bulbs mounted in there. I would like to get the wiring coalesced into that back room today too. I'm playing with ideas as far as the interior, taking the coral color and the green that are traditionally in the Galileo shuttle and making a mixture of those to fill in the inside here. But now that that's working nicely, I can maybe put it to the side and start working on the control console. And we're going to end the day with some white paint on the top hull. Hallelujah, it's about time. Got some white paint on the hull, got some white paint on the nacelles. That's all that's going to be white. The back of the nacelles will probably be silver. I don't know if I'm going to paint the balls white on the back or leave those silver as well. And then the bottom, of course, will be a medium gray. I've already painted gray under these panels and taped them off. Got the windows all taped off. So yeah, and I painted the doors in place so that they would have even though they're going to be open, they'll have the same amount of white paint on them as everything around them. Now, it's to say I'm probably going to hit that with a really fine high-grade sandpaper, just to knock some of the even unevenness of the paint, and then paint a top coat over that before I do the gloss coat on it. I do or semi-gloss satin coat, so that I can put the decals on. Then I'll put the flat coat over top of that. But I'm thinking this is the stage I'm going to leave it at, and then I'm going to, like I said, come back, sand it, put another white coat on it, and then attach it to the base, or to the bottom half, before I do anything with clear coats or decals. Okay, greetings everybody. It is Wednesday, and please forgive the sound of the plotter in the background, but I've got to get an order ready to go before Winterfest, so that's what's happening. But we're going to do something monumental today. I'm having a hard time getting the top and the bottom of the shuttle to fit together. I don't know whether that is the thickness of the parts, or it's just the uncertainty of dealing with 3D printed parts. They're not all factory fresh like not like a resin kit, but like a injected kit. So you don't have the same type of tight tolerances that you do on a styrene kit. And basically, I've had to sand the bejesus out of this inner cage to get the top to fit down, and I have a feeling I'm still going to end up shimming the bottom. edge of that top to fill in the gap that's going to occur. But for now, right now, at this very moment, what I want to do is I want to get the floor seated onto the base like this. Now I had to make room for the console there, the wiring for the console that needs to go down the center, and this needs to fit on something like this and sit in there nice and snug. What I want to do is slather the bottom of this with epoxy, all of this edge, all of the stuff that's going to touch this center rail, and all of the back edge. I'm just going to coat that, and then I'm going to put some clamps on it to really bring it down into shape. Now, I don't think I'm going to need to do any epoxying around this edge where the floor meets the wall. That's going to pull in nice and tight. I don't think we're going to need to epoxy that. If I put enough epoxy on the bottom and then just swamp it with that, and then we put these big old clamps on it to hold it in place. So cross your fingers, your toes, your eyes, and the nearest river, and we'll get on with this. Alrighty, it's all clamps on deck, and I'm using like 30-minute epoxy, so it's going to take a while for it because I wanted to make sure I had enough time to do all the positioning and stuff, but it's going to take a while for it to set up. So we're going to give it all the time in the world that it needs, and I'm going to concentrate on doing some other things. Got something good in the mail today, something that I'd ordered. Let me show it to you. I got some holographic stickers made, and I'll be passing these out at Wonderfest. If you see me, stop me, and if I still have any of these left, I'll be happy to give you one. I'm gonna hang on. I got 50 of them. I'm gonna hang on to about 10 of them back here and take the rest to give away. And then I also got a somewhat, I don't mind saying, cheaper stickers done on a big roll. And when I run out of these, I'll have the ones on the sticker, or on the roll. But this was something I thought it would be nice to pass out to commemorate 20 years, 2004 to 2024. Looks like I picked the wrong decade to stop sniffing glue. So, yay, things are starting to come together for the fest, folks. Alrighty, it's getting into the afternoon. This is sat for a good chunk of the day, curing. It's a slow-acting epoxy, so I gave it plenty of time, but it seems to be all done. Ooh, that's a nasty crack, but we're not going to see it if it's on the inside. Okay, we'll get rid of all of these. Yeah, that should... Well, we'll see. How does that look from the... Oh, you can't tell. Once the top is on, you will never tell. So the next thing to do would be to glue this console down, but I want to see how good a fit we are going to have with the top shell. I am fearing the worst because when I was test fitting this, it was not cooperating. So we're going to see how much shimmage we're going to have to do here. If I just lay this on top, and I start smooshing it down, you see how much is there? That's how much seam we've got to take care of. I can't get all of it off of the top of the shell like I had hoped, so we are going to do a big amount. We're going to have to do quite an amount of shimming. I was hoping to get all of it off of there. It couldn't all come off of there. Yep, it's exactly as bad as it looks. We're going to see how bad it can get before we can start making it better. There was no way around it, kids. Pushed it down and it snapped right off. And when you look inside, it's no surprise. There is absolutely no space in there. And I was grinding this down like you wouldn't believe. But the good news is, there is good news here. I can now grind out the inside of this. I can put that, I can really go to town on sanding that away. This is still, I mean, this will fit on here real nicely now. That does everything I want it to do and then some. It's just where it hits right there. So, yep, we're gonna back up and we're gonna punt, but hopefully we'll get it done right. Hey everybody, it's Thursday. It's the gateway to the weekend, and importantly, it is Lemonade Day. Why is it Lemonade Day? Well, you know the old saying: when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. Actually, I highly recommend, if you have not seen the Follow the House of Usher TV series, miniseries that Netflix did a few months ago, highly recommend that. Bruce Greenwood does a take on that speech, or on that, he does a whole monologue based on that saying that is at one time the most cynical piece of verbiage you'll ever hear, but it is also probably the most true, and it's such a good speech that it should be taught in acting class. That's how good it is. But it all deals with the proverb of when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. Here's why it pertains to this particular issue. I busted this thing yesterday. I broke it clean in half. This whole hull, this upper hull piece. You know what they say about 3D resins being brittle? Believe it when they say that. What happened is that I have this piece firmly ensconced. It is epoxied in. It is not moving. Heaven and earth could crumble in front of us, and these two pieces would not come apart. So, using that as a basis, I wanted to take the hull and basically take some clamps and pressure it down around it, just to see what, just to see how far off it was. And what happened was I heard the deafening crack. The deafening crack of it breaking right through here. And I decided, two small breaks are better than one big break. One big break is better than two small breaks. Anyway, I cut it the rest of the way. Because now that this is in two pieces, it allows me to hollow out the inside of this in a way that I could not get to when it was one big piece. So that's aspect one of the lemonade. Plus it allows me to fit this front hull exactly the way I want to, and now I can hollow out the back hull a little bit more. The piece is not with me right now. It's out in the outside because I'm getting ready to sand some more of it out. But it will allow me to hollow out some more of it and sit it down in place. And you might very well ask, Lou, why don't you just print another piece that's, another hull that's all one piece? And I could, but then I'd be back to square one, because that would still have the same problem of it being too thick. So I'm already there. It's already got the lights embedded in it. It's already wired. I'm already committed to that part. So what I'm going to do is hollow out the inside. Well, this is irrelevant until I get you the part. Let me go get the part. Okay, here's that part. This is where it broke. Now I went in. It also broke across. There's a detail in here with some straight strips, just a raised detail. I went ahead and trimmed that out. I cut that out this morning. I can recreate that, but it basically went in that spot right there. And also, Jeff, I don't know if you want to know this or not, it was slightly hollow. There was a hollow space. There was uncured resin inside there. And that's what caused the weakness, is that there was actually two layers in here. I probably should cure that with the light there, just to keep it from being an issue anymore. But there was an inherent weakness there in the piece that became apparent once I trimmed out this area of there being like I said, there was a gap right in there. So we're going to close that off as best we can, and That's enough for right now. But what this allows me to do now is get in here with a sander and just do a lot of this kind of stuff to hollow it out. I'm very close to being there as far as getting it to go down in place without it making this huge gap along the side. See, this is what I did when it snapped, and it snapped right in that area and kind of followed out to the edge of the doorway. But now I can do a little bit of cosmetic. Yes, it's going to be on white, so it's going to be tough, but I can remake that detail bit. It's going to throw me off schedule a little bit. I may not finish this week. I may have to take this into next week to finish it, but I'm still in good shape. And I'm going to have to clean out a lot of the dust that is happening because of the sanding. That's somewhat inevitable. And as much as I clamped this thing down yesterday, I mean, you saw the clamps on it. It's still, I think just the strength of the resin curing popped that up a little bit. That used to lay next to flat along that doorway, and that may have caused an unnecessary amount of sanding to need to be done. I don't dare take anything more off of this. This is about as thin as I can go, because that would be the easy, obvious area to sand. But you can see along this front edge, it's awfully thin. I'm getting to the point where if I sand it anymore, I'm going to break through that inner wall, and I don't want to do that. This light here will lay in top of that, and that's what lights the canopy below it. Let's see, none of this is touching. I did manage to condense some of this lighting, so let me see if I can show you what that looks like. Okay, we've got light in here, and we've got the lights in the console. So that's all still working, and we've also got these connected, which go out to the nacelles. And last little bit here is I'm going to sand some more of this down, because I've still got plenty of meat here that I can sand. Get that down to where I can wrap that around comfortably without the gap around this edge, and we'll be back on track. But yeah, it's a lemonade day. I've also got to put an order for Steve together today. We're coming up, like I said, Wonderfest is coming fast, so I got to get this done in case there are any last minute orders I need to fill. So that's probably going to take a little bit more precedent than this is as far as what gets done first. Yeah, I've got the two pieces rejoined. Let's move this out of the way. I've got the two pieces rejoined, and I've got them sanded down to a point where I can live with the gap that is resulting. I don't think I'm ever going to get it completely gap free, but I can get it down to where I can fill in with either Tamiya putty or tulip or something. But I've got these two pieces put together, and I'm sanding that seam, kind of reworking that. I'm starting to work on the new detailing that's going to go in there, and you can see where the break is. I've got to reattach this strobe wire. I've got to resolder the front and back of that. This is that wire here, and yeah, it's going well. It's certainly not something I was looking forward to having to do. It's not like I was thinking, oh, this build is going well, let's do something that will throw me back and give me a challenge. No, it wasn't that. It's just something that you have to deal with. This wire looks like it might might have to take it out of the hot glue here to give me some slack, to give me space to reattach those. But when I fit everything back down, I can push it down without it snapping, and it gives me a manageable gap. It doesn't remove it completely, but it gives me a manageable gap, and that's all I'm really looking for. See, this is what happened when I did it. I put two clamps right here, and I tightened it down just like 1/2 a turn too much, and it went snap. So I am looking at how this lip fits towards the front, and yes, it's narrower here than it is on the sides, but I'm okay with that because this edge here is also narrows as it gets to the back, so there's nobody saying that this has to be the same all the way around. But that's looking good. It's even at this doorway, which is the important thing. And like I said, any resulting gap is slightly more than or slightly less than cosmetic. See, I hold that down like that and epoxy it in. Actually, I'm wondering if the epoxy is working against me. I'm wondering if it's when it seizes up and becomes solid, it's not spreading out, it's pushing up. So I think we may have to limit our use of epoxy on that and rely more on strictly CA to hold it in place. Okay, so I am thinking of the sequence of events that has to happen now. I really want to get this closed up again tonight. But before I can do that, I have to fix the wiring on this bulb. I've got that pulled out. I think we're ready to go on that. I need to do the chairs and the benches on the interior here because I need to put this light in place, and I can't put the light in place without. I need to get in from that angle to put the chairs and the benches in. So that would be the next step. I need to clean out the interior here really well so that I know that I am ready for said benches and chairs. Put those in, glue that in, and then the last thing I can do is push this on top and seal them together, and that may be overnight's goal, is to allow that to be sitting in the clamps overnight. The tricky part, of course, of all this is going to be what manner of adhesive I choose to use. I don't think I want to go through the mistake of using epoxy again. I think just a nice bead, well, maybe 1 minute epoxy. I'm thinking the 30-minute stuff expanded too much. So maybe what I need is I can get into here. I need to, let's see, once I put this on, I'm not going to be able to even get the front chairs in. So I'm going to have to get all of the chairs in, make myself completely happy with the interior here before I put the lid on. And then that would leave tomorrow for the, I still have to clean all of this area up, get the doors put in, and the nacelles put on. I might have a finished shell by tomorrow that I am ready for final paint. It's going to go into next week anyway, but depending on how much we can get done tonight, that will tell me how much we can get done tomorrow. All right, it's Thursday night. We are going to do a wrap-up of where we are so that we can get a head start on this tomorrow. I've got the wiring fixed on this. I've got this resoldered so that the circuit is now working. What you're seeing is a lot of sanding dust still living with the circuit there. A lot of that has been sanded out, but the joint has been fixed. We've got this detail here to replace. I've got some Tamiya putty over the seam on both sides. We're going to let that set up overnight. So we put that over there. Here we have the at least the back seats. We've got the back seats. See if I can throw a battery on this so that you may gaze in wide wonder at the interior here. What we've got is, come on, there you, oops, wrong way. There we go. Now we can see what's going on in there. We've got the bench seating and we've got the chairs. If you can, there you go. So that lighting is, ceiling lighting is in. We've got the lighting in the navigation helm control up here. So that's ready to go. I have put some putty on this joint. We're going to clean that up in the morning and then touch up the paint on it, or at least clean it up to the point where we can get ready to touch the paint up on it. It's going to be kind of tough to get in there and sand, but that we will. Then the next step, really, after all that has been taken care of, is to go ahead and put. I have to join the wiring here, front and back, and then attach the battery box. But this is ready now to lay down on top of all of this, to the point where, yes, there'll be a little bit of seam work that needs to get done, but nothing too drastic. It's a lot better than what it was, trust me on that. We can put this down, we can put some clamps on it, and then I will squeeze in some, probably some epoxy around that edge. I'm not going to put any epoxy here because I think that's what was causing the problem, is that epoxy got stiff and it took up space. Instead of smearing out to the side, it rose that way, which pushed the parts further away from each other. So nothing in here, maybe a strip of epoxy down the side, a touch or two of the CA there to kind of hold it in place, but nothing that's going to take up a lot of space, or nothing that's going to expand. And then we can do a little sanding and seaming there, a little bit of paint, and then we can worry about putting the hatches in. I have to put the front chairs in before I close this up, but then we'll be to a point where all of this exterior shell will be done, and I can clean up the paint, clean up a lot of this, and then all that's left will be to put the nacelles on. And once the nacelles are on, we're back down to decals and final touch-up paint, and that'll happen next week. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back. It's Friday, the last work day of the week. Far from being the last work day on this shuttle, but I think we're going to get some significant advancements today. I'm happy finally with how this looks. I've cleaned it up. I've tried to clean it out, get the dust out of it as much as I could, and I've got the interior in place. Don't mind this, it's ugly, I know, but the front cockpit covers it up. Started doing some of the cosmetic work right in here where that joint is. Believe it or not, this top more or less fits, with an acceptable gap down the side that I can take care of, again, cosmetically. I can squeeze it into place without it cracking again. I have built this back into a one piece. I had thought about putting it down as two separate pieces and then fixing that, but it was so much easier to work on as a separate piece. But I think I've got enough sanding done that it will fit now. I'm going to go over this one last time before I put another top coat on it. Yes, we still haven't even addressed the nacelles yet, or the lamps. Now I'll tell you, one of the best benefits of breaking that top is that these doors fit so much better now. Of course, it only gets attached something like that, so that'll be a fun added piece. That's kind of one of those things that's fighting to be the last thing you do, because it's going to be so delicate that you don't want to mess with it after that. If we can get this thing closed up today and get the nacelles on it, then I'll be happy as rain, and then we can work on doing the paint finishes and the decaling next week. I've got this rewired, I've got this detail plate to build, and I can do that today. So with those marching orders in front of me, I am ready to get back to work on this. And this is a lot cleaner back here than it's been, and I need to make sure that I have a path clear for the battery to sit like this, to slide in and out. It's got the switch on the bottom, so basically what I want to do is be able to slide this out enough that I can hit the switch and then push it back in. That's all it really needs to do. I need to build some slack in on the wiring here so that when it's extended, it does I can't get it all the way out, so I need to add some length onto that, join this, and then of course I have to join the top wiring here before I can close the whole thing down. So we're down to the short rows, but that doesn't mean we need to let up on our care any. Okay, so I've got almost everything wire tidied. I have one more connection to make, and that is to join the top with the bottom. These are going out to the nacelles, which I have ready to go but have not attached yet. I've got everything down to these two wires. I put the battery box on the sliding door, so that will come out and then snap back into place. I need to make sure these wires here have gap or have slack, but I could take these and tape them down to that door or to that back wall to get them out of the way. I just need to make sure that I have done this first, and before I can do that, it's really something I'm kind of putting off. I need to get up the courage to do it. But once that top is on, I can't get into a lot of this. So I need to make myself really happy with how the interior is looking to this point. And anything that I can't touch once the top is on is gone forever. So I need to touch up some paint around this frame, I think. And that is this color here. Touch that paint up, take a last look at the control console, see how I like that. I need to touch up the floor and the frame and all that kind of stuff. There's some things I will be able to reach via the doorways once everything is closed up, but I don't want to be caught on that one thing that I can't quite get to being the thing that's going to bug me the most. See, this stuff I can get to in any time. And in this case, I'm just putting a coat of gray over it to act as primer. And I'll do that on both sides of the doorway here. And then I need to paint that coral color back over top of it, this tan earth color back over top of it. But basically what we're doing at this point is just fixing anything I won't be able to reach. Now the doors and the hatches, the gangways and the steps and all that, that's going to be a project all on its own. And that's obviously something I can be tackling next week when I get into fixing this long seam that's going to be running down both sides. Trying to think if there's anything I have that I could be setting this down into a bed of, whether that is putting it down into a bed of something or putting it down raw and then squeezing something into the joint. I kind of would like to seat it in a bed of something, because that way I know it's getting adhesion all the way underneath. And I'm looking at whether you would use, even something as simple as white Elmer's glue. Just something. I'm afraid that if I put too much epoxy in there, it's going to fight against it. So I may regret it, but I think I'm going to end up epoxying it. The problem is, once we get to the back end here, there is so little of an area to glue anyway that it basically just kind of sits there, and there's not a lot of glue surface for it. You see if that still works, and then we hold that down. See, I need to make sure once this is held down completely tight that I could still get to that. So I might need to take just a little bit off of that top so that I have room to get there. But there's so little overlap between this top and this piece here. Alright, now I have all of the lighting hooked up, with the exception of the nacelles. You've got the strobe. There you go, it's underneath some tape. Strobes, markers, Inside you can see the navigation. Now this will be a lot easier to see once this tape comes off of the windows. And then you can see the glow from the cabin light in there. Again, once these front windows are cleared off, it's going to be a lot easier to tell. At this stage, there is nothing left to do but to glue this top down. And we're going to line it up and push it down, and there's not too many chances we're going to get to make this work. So what I'm thinking is that we don't need to glue it all at once. If we do some strategic spots and then clamp it, we can fill in between in the gap that's going to come up. So what I'd like to do, see, you can still see the break here where I put some more putty over that. There you can see back in the lighting, back in the cabin there. It's important that this point right here lines up. That's flush, and that's flush, and then the back is centered, and then we can kind of push everything else down and around and make it fit. So I think I'm going to put a little bit of glue there, a little bit of glue there, just do these back corners, and then we'll fill in around it. Once we fill in around it, then we can put the clamps on it, and then I can work on this maybe while the clamps are setting up. Okay, it's ugly as sin and covered with rubber bands, but it's together. And I've got some Tamiya plastic putty in the biggest gaps, and we're going to let that sit at least overnight, if not into next weekend, or this weekend. One last thing I can do today, and that is to put this, fix up this detail. I just noticed that I forgot to put the main chairs back in, and I'm thinking I can get to them from here. It might not be easy, but I think I can. I think I can. Once I get the glass off, I can see what I'm doing here, or get the tape off the glass. But let's go ahead and get this finished or rebuilt, and it's just a couple of these, and then a bunch of, looks like they were, this is the piece I kept, looks like they were a louvered piece. I'm going to go ahead and replace that with some round stock that I've got that's about the right size. And I'm just going to cut some round bits to go between those. So let's go ahead and cut these sides. I could put all this together with, since this bottom piece is also styrene, I can put all this together with MEK and not have to deal with CA or anything really messy. And there is the replacement panel in. Once that's painted up, I'm sure it'll look a little bit better than that. At least I certainly hope it will. Yeah, there's not much to do at this point other than wait, which is something I am notoriously bad at. So let's see what I can be doing while I am waiting. Let's see. I could see about throwing some putty into this line right here. No reason why that couldn't all be drying at the same time. Let's take this mask off the windows for 1 second. And so maybe I can inch these chairs in where they're supposed to be. I put the gloss on them. I don't know if I like that. I think what I'd like to do is go ahead and put a flat coat over those before I put them in. I like the flat leather looking on that better. So let me get the flat black out, and we'll give it a spritz. Okay, this is where we're finishing for the week. It's ugly as sin, but it is in one piece. Look at all that putty. But if you look in there and the lighting is just right, you can see a clean window. Now, it is gathering all kinds of dust in there. As much as I try, I can get some of it out. But maybe you can see in there through the dirty window. Perhaps in a darkened room it'll work better. Maybe you can see, take the spotlight off of there. You can see the strobe. And we've got the navs back there. Of course, the one last big chunk to worry about is getting the nacelles on. That'll happen next week. So I'm going to rest up, settle my weary nerves from working on this thing, and hit it fresh again next week. Okay, I just took the tape off of it because, frankly, I wanted to see how everything looked back when I was still hopeful about having it turn out in a week. But yeah, that's, of course, we're back to almost to a blank canvas now. We have to repaint so much of this, but you can get an idea of the color breakdowns. I really like this angle. This angle I'm going to have to dress up a little bit. But the next step would be, literally, the next step would be steps. We've got these guys coming down and the door, the hatch being up. But this fits so much nicer now than it did before because it was really very tight. And now we don't have that issue. So I'll take my small wins where I can find them. My silver linings, if you will. Scrape some of that off. Yeah, getting inside there and getting the windows clean is going to be a challenge. I don't think it can be done. I may just have to live with them dirty or try to blow them out from the inside, or maybe use a very long stick and a little rag and try to clean them from the inside like that. Go around to the other side and do that. Might be possible. But yeah, it's going to take a lot of cleanup. And the first thing I need to clean is this room to get all this stray dust out of here before I go about making any more. And that brings to the end another chapter, a painful chapter on the concept shuttle. Now, it's only going to go uphill from here. I mean, it's I think it's reached its lowest form. I still have to put the cells on, but I think everything else from this point now is building back up. I don't think we'll be doing any more deconstruction on it, I hope. So I think we should be able to wrap this up next week. I mean, we have to. Next week is Memorial Day weekend, and then week after that, I'm on the road. I'm going to Wonderfest. You may have heard of it. But yeah, I got to finish this thing up or else the paint will still be wet as I'm driving. So until next week, y'all be safe, be smart, be good to each other, be good to yourself, build a model. Let me see. Walk the dog, do the laundry, take out the trash, and be back here next week, and when we will tackle the last of this, I hope.